Hi, it's Latoya with Adreamori Hypnosis, and this week I'm going to discuss self-limiting beliefs. Self-limiting beliefs are thoughts about yourself and your potential that do not or never did benefit you. They can be ineffective, outdated, invalid, and they keep you from reaching your goals or reaching your best self. In this video, I will give examples of limiting beliefs, where they come from. I'll dive a little deeper on how they affect you. I'll list some examples and some ways to overcome them, ways that I know to overcome them. And then I have something special for you at the end of the video that I'm excited to share. No, it's not like a paid promotion, and it's not. So just stay tuned for the end of the video for that. Disclaimer, I may be discussing spirituality. Actually, I will be discussing spirituality, logic, and religion, amongst many other things. And I know that's not everyone's thing. If it's not your thing, it's okay. You may choose to leave the video at this time. And as always, coming from a space of authenticity and integrity, it is my intention for this video to explain self-limiting beliefs so that you may be able to easily identify them in your life and your thinking patterns, and equip you with different tools to help you identify and overcome them so that you can reach the desires of your heart. So self-limiting beliefs stand between you and your goals and your desires, and between you and your manifestations. They can be lighter, conscious, limiting beliefs. So like, this is how I categorize it. It's like a conscious. So that's the ones that you easily know that they're a limited belief. This is the, I'm not smart enough. I need lots of money to start this project. I can't focus long enough to finish a class. My goal is too big. I'm asking for too much. I have bad relationships because my parents had it. My parents had bad relationships, and so will I. This is that, that like one of those, the quote that I like is that doubt kills dreams faster than fear ever will. So I like that quote. Next is like a deeper subconscious limiting beliefs. These are, I'm not worthy of love because I was mistreated when I was younger. These usually have to do with some event or some experience that was impressed upon our subconscious, making it seem like these are true. Example I left in another video, I talked about social media and the subconscious imprinting. So always seeing something on social media all the time can leave that imprint, that something as a belief system. Another one is, I mentioned this before, but because of my cultural or my racial status, due to the historical treatment of people in my culture, people of my race, that I can't have a home, I can't have money, I can't be wealthy. A woman, and this was one of my personal ones, a woman in pain makes her stronger. Women are seen or not heard. So these are just a little bit deeper, and these happen, a lot of these take place in childhood, and they're happen through childhood. They're impressed in your subconscious by authority figures. So again, that's your parents, any type of authority figures, and these happen or develop in your lifetime. And then the last type of self-limited belief, and this is just how I categorize it, is unconscious self-limiting beliefs. So when I say unconscious, this is when it starts to get good. So these are belief systems that are instilled in you before birth. Wait, what? Before I was born? Yes. How is that possible? This is when we start getting into your generational patterns, your generational thoughts, your generational belief systems, that were passed down so much that they are a part of your DNA. They're deeply ingrained. So I talked about this in some other videos when I mentioned epigenetics. So it talks about a lot about how traumas and things like that can be passed down, and then expressed through your DNA. So these unconscious limiting beliefs are passed down. And traumas, mindsets, beliefs passed down generationally, and they're expressed through your genes. An example, it's like an irrational fear, like fear or phobias that they're not suppressed from childhood. Like you can't really figure out where they came from. there's no understanding where they came from. This would be an example of an unconscious limiting belief. So the example that I can think of is like, say you have a woman, someone's great grandma, who she was afraid of heights for whatever reason. So, if great grandma is afraid of heights, no one's going to Six Flags, no one's hopping on a plane. She's not hopping on a plane, and neither is her children, right? Because of her fear. And then that gets passed on. So what happens is her kids won't take a plane, maybe don't go to Six Flags, right? Because they didn't do it growing up. And then it kind of gets passed on and passed on and passed on. And then so you get down the line, families like, oh, we don't really take planes, or we don't really go to theme parks like that. And you may not even know why, but it's because down the line, someone had a fear of heights, and that just kind of got passed on. That's just my mental thought of how this could occur. But I have a real life example too. Is this actually has to do with animals. So I know someone who had a dog, or has a dog still, and has a dog, and this dog loves to chase squirrels. I feel like about half the dogs do this, right? They'll chase squirrels, they'll chase lizards, and that's just like their whole thing. Like when they see a lizard, when they see a squirrel, when they see a mouse, they're on the mode. Like they will not stop until they get it. And so I was watching this dog one day, and he actually caught a lizard. And when the dog caught the lizard, once he finally caught it, he just stood there with the lizard hanging out of his mouth, and his eyes looked like he was literally in a trance. Like his eyes were dazed. They were kind of glossed over, and he just stared like out into space and just stood there with the lizard in his mouth. And I'm just like, wow, this dog is like in a trance. Like it's not even here. So it made me want to do research on this dog to kind of prompt, why is it acting this way? What is this behavior about? So I was able to do some research about this breed of dog from Europe. Was breeded to be like one of those cattle dogs. So to breed and to kind of help with same thing with mice and rodents and stuff. And that's what it was breeded to do. I found it very interesting because this is over hundreds of years that it was breeded to do this. But this dog is still doing this today. Mind you, the owner of this dog, or the pet owner of this dog, did not train this dog to do this. I know that the mother of this dog did not, because the dogs are separated from their mothers very young. And I know that who the owner got the dog from didn't train them either. So this is an example to me of what I like to call like genetic memories. So you breed, or you instill some type of behavioral thing and impressed on an animal or a human for so long, and you pass it down long enough, it now is a part of their DNA. So now you do not have to train this dog to do this anymore, because it's a genetic memory. It will genetically remember how to do this. But you see the dog, obviously, I mean, I know I can't read his mind, but it's just on automatic mode now. Like the way that his face looked, he wasn't here. He was on automatic mode. So sometimes we as humans can be on automatic mode, especially like I talked about these fears and phobias, especially these, because you automatically just, get into that space and you don't know why. It just triggers, and it could be something that was genetic, ancestral, passed down, etc. Another example of unconscious belief. So this one's going to be a little extreme, and just to let you know, my examples are not to offend or upset anyone. It's just to make you all aware of the extent and the depth of belief systems, right? So another example I have is religion. Religion obviously is something that's been instilled for many years, decades, centuries. And it was already instilled in our parents, if that is your course, because anyone can change religions at any time. But this is just for the general. It's passed down. And we know this to be a belief system because we know that there are several religions all over the world, right? And these are not limited. Just because they're a belief system, they're not limiting. What makes it limiting? So example of this now becoming a limited belief is, say if someone is in an abusive marriage and per the religion, you cannot divorce. So now, and you have someone who may not want to leave an abusive relationship due to not wanting to get divorced. It becomes limited now because now she or he may not feel that they can leave the situation that is no longer for their highest and greatest good due to a belief system that is limiting a change that may need to be made. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and add one more example. This one's going to be a tight one. This is definitely going to push it, but I would not be in my authenticity if I did not leave this example. But the next example is people of color who discipline their children through whippings, the belt. Okay, so I'm going all the way there because this is an unconscious genetic memory of that enacts how people of color were treated. Not all, because not all endured this, not all went through this. And we're not going down. This is not what it's about. All right. I'm going to keep it simple. It's not about, this can be debated all day. Please listen to the message. It is being passed on and using the same form of treatment till this day. And if you ask anyone why, it's going to be like, well, there's no other way around it. There's no other way to be able to get the point across by doing this. And again, I'm going to challenge your belief system. Okay, listen, please don't shoot the messenger. This is not new information. I'm not the first one who has said this ever. It's not information. If it's your first time hearing this, just let it pass through your heart, because it may hurt. I understand that it may not be what you want to hear. It may hurt for anyone. Let it pass through your heart and just don't hold on to it. Listen to the message. The message is generationally that this can be passed on and on and on and on for so long that, again, it becomes genetic memory, and we don't know why we do certain things anymore. But if you trace it back unconscious before birth, you will find there is a reason why these things are occurring. Okay. And I listed example because I want to again give all the examples that I know I can to let you know how deep this runs. Okay. And I want to empower you, right? This is not to hurt. This is not to offend. This is to empower you. A quote that I love is, cycles can end with you and new cycles can begin with you. I empower you. I empower you to break generational limited beliefs, to break generational curses, to break generational trauma. I empower you to be the one to do that for yourself and for your future. Okay. So, like I said, this is not to offend anyone. This is just to show you the extent and the depth of belief systems and how they can be so ingrained that sometimes they can even become a truth. Like belief systems can be so ingrained that a person cannot tell that it's a belief, it's a truth, right? That little fine line. And it's, a truth or someone's truth, but it's not everyone's truth. And so when I talk about a truth or someone's truth, well, isn't truth truth? So an example I have is when I talked about in another video about me walking the dog, and I passed by 7 people who said hello, and then I passed by one person who didn't say hello. And it had me thinking about this and starting to put my energy into this one person that could have almost ruined my day. And I decided to focus on the 7 people who were nice. And I was like, well, that doesn't mean that everyone It doesn't mean that everyone is rude. There are nice people. There are great people out there, right? But both are true. There are great people out there, and there wasn't someone, there was people out there, a person out there who wasn't so nice. So both are true. What I chose to put my attention on is what becomes my reality. It's what I choose to believe in. It becomes my reality. And if I see it enough, it becomes a belief, right? And I could have easily switched beliefs to, oh my gosh, this one person did not say hello to me. People are rude, and I can choose to see that all the time. And then now that becomes a belief system, and that becomes my reality, right? It doesn't mean that everyone is rude. There are nice people. There are great people out there, right? But both are true. There are great people out there, and there wasn't someone, there was people out there, a person out there who wasn't so nice. So both are true. What I chose to put my attention on is what becomes my reality. It's what I choose to believe in. It becomes my reality. And if I see it enough, it becomes a belief, right? And I could have easily switched beliefs to, oh my gosh, this one person did not say hello to me. People are rude, and I can choose to see that all the time. And then now that becomes a belief system, and that becomes my reality, right? So if I change my belief, then I change my reality, right? If I change my belief, then my reality changes. So now this is when we start getting into like a highly spiritual, like esoteric type of information now. So this is how one thing can be true for one person and not for another. An example, someone says, every time I go to this grocery store, there's never a parking spot available. And the other person says, oh, really? I always get a parking. You have this conversation. Okay, I always get a parking spot easily. Who's right? They both are, right? Because what they're saying is true for them. It's their reality, their perspective. So I can explain this best with what I call I call this like my balloon theory. But I say, imagine that there's an apartment and there's someone sitting on their porch on the first floor, and someone sitting on their porch on the second floor, and there's a balloon that's kind of floating right between the floors. And these two people start arguing. They're saying, no, the balloon is below, and the other one's saying, no, it's above. No, it's below. No, it's above. And they're going back and forth, but they're arguing. What they're arguing is not really the truth. But it's what's real for them personally. It's their perspective. It's their space. It's their place, right? It's where they're situated. It's their state, right? Like different states. The United States is a place, is a location. So it's a state of mind. It's a reality. So this is when it's their reality. And this is why you may have heard that heaven and hell isn't a place, it's a state of mind, right? This is how one person can be in their heaven. Life is great. Everything is going well for me. Sitting right next to a person who's living in their hell, who's saying, you know what? Things are just so bad for me right now. I can't believe these bad things are happening. I'm miserable, right? Because world events, things can happen. There's stimuli outside of us, just like that balloon. But how are we perceiving that? What is your belief about it, right? And that actually molds what your reality is. So keep in mind that something that you view as an absolute truth may actually just be your perspective, and will absolutely not always be true for someone else, somewhere else. Change your location, change your place, right? Change your state, change your space, change your perspective, right? These can almost just be used interchangeably at this point, these words, right? Say if you travel, right? If you go travel to a different country, you know that one country is completely different from another. The way they do things, even down to the language. You travel to a different state. You even travel to another city in the same state, okay? North Florida and South Florida are completely different. Tallahassee and Miami are completely different. So just to kind of just drive in that when you have limiting beliefs, if you overcome this belief and you change your belief systems, your reality will change. Okay. There's no way that it can't. So I just want to leave that there, and we're going to go into how to overcome these limiting beliefs, right? This is the best that I know how. So I'm going to go ahead and list a couple of examples of how, what I know of how to overcome some limiting beliefs. Personally, one of my ways of overcoming a limited belief is when I was doing a career change, and I was verbally telling people what I wanted to do. But I didn't believe it in my heart. Like, I didn't believe that I had what it took to actually do it, to actually be that. And so like I lollygagged around. And then one day I asked myself, I was like, what makes the people who are doing what I want to do so special? Like, I literally asked myself this, and I was like, nothing, right? There's no difference. They're not, and I remember specifically saying they don't have superpowers. Like they're not, there's no reason why they can do that and I can't. And so in hypnosis, this is like a type of like hypnosis that you can do. And it's kind of like when you upgrade yourself to a status. So it's pretty much in like there's a hypnosis technique where you can like, and you can probably find it online. They're super simple, but it's pretty much, you just imagine yourself, among the people who are doing what you want to do. Like imagine that they're on some high status and you imagine yourself there with them, kind of type thing. So I call this like you upgrade yourself to their status, but I did it the opposite. Like I feel like I just downgraded them instead of feeling like I needed to upgrade myself to something. I just brought them down to my level. And so either way, they're both the same, because what you're doing is you're equaling the playing field. So this is not going to be for every limited belief. This may be for a limited belief that you have, that you don't possess the qualities that you feel like you need to be able to hit a goal. Like you feel like your goal is above you, or which I feel like maybe a few do. You feel like your goal is something unattainable or something above you, or there's something so special about it that you don't possess this quality. But just lower the playing field. We are all equal. And when you do that, that limited belief no longer exists, because there is no separation between me and what I want anymore, because what made me feel like I needed to step things up, or I needed to have something that I didn't have, by lowering the playing field, I already have it. Like we're all the same. So that's just a specific situation. But if you guys want me to make a hypnosis about the upgrade one, I can. I don't mind. If someone leaves in a comment that they want me to do it, then I will. So anyway, back to how to overcome these limiting beliefs. I think like your conscious beliefs need to be overcome consciously. Like your subconscious beliefs, limiting beliefs need to be overcome subconsciously, and unconscious, right? So what I mean by that is like, so for conscious, like for the conscious limited beliefs that we talked about, something that I know that can help, or that I've researched that can help, is something called reframing. So I am not an expert on reframing. I am not great. There are some master reframers out there. Look them up online and watch a couple videos, read a couple articles. But reframing is when you pretty much take a negative thought. So if you have a negative belief that you consciously know it is, like if you can recognize what your limited belief is, take that negative belief, that thought, and reword it in a way that it's positive. So reword it so that it's a positive. So this is just an example. Like I said, I have a friend who's into reframing. It's not something like, I'm not good with the written reframing, but an example would be like, if you say, oh my gosh, I'm not good at math. A reframe would be, oh, I am good at a lot of things. I'm great at a lot of things. And in time, I will be good at math too. Something like that. You just kind of get it and you flip it, right? And I personally feel that if you can take these reframed statements, take away all any negative words, make that your affirmation, and then plug that into any of the manifestation techniques and make that be the affirmation that you are manifesting. So you can check out my manifesting and hypnosis or manifesting technique video, the very first one that I listed that goes through many different types of ways on manifestation techniques. Plug your little manifestation reframed negative, your reframed negative limited belief in there, and manifest that to overcome that negative belief. Okay, so that is reframing. So you can reframe belief systems that way. You can also reframe situations. So I can reframe a situation. Like I've done that. Example is like one time I had this older car and the transmission blew, and it blew. I always call it the perfect breakdown, because it literally was like daylight, bright daylight outside. The car just stopped working, and I just slowly just rolled into this open plaza and like rolled up in a parking spot. It was like the perfect breakdown. There were so many people coming and asking if I needed help. I had friends and family available that came that were able to come a little later and help me out. So I say it's a negative situation. And I could have been like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening, da da da. But instead it was like, wow, this is a great way to break down. I'm so grateful. You know what I mean? To just, and so I feel like you can, so reframing is not just for, words and statements, you can reframe a situation. And that I'm very skilled at. I do that a lot. But reframing thoughts, not so much. But for negative beliefs, I feel like reframing would be amazing, amazing, amazing. So if that seems like something that could help you out, please do a little bit of research on that. Okay, and then for subconscious, to find your subconscious limiting beliefs, I know hypnotherapy, hypnosis, because that's what I've learned. But being able to overcome your subconscious limited belief, there's affirmation, manifestation techniques we just talked about. And of course, there's always regular therapy as well, depending, of course, on the extent of your limited belief. And lastly, is the unconscious limited belief. So we talked about this, the ancestral and generational. So to me, this is just my opinion. This is when you have to really to be able to find them and to even be able to rectify them can be a spirit in the spirit realm. And so what I mean by that is this is going to be dreams, because you're talking about unconscious now. So this is going to be dream interpretation, spirituality. This is when you have going to, like, if you're attached, have a strong spiritual belief, or like a church or a spirit. You don't have to do any of these, by the way. This is just throwing out there, a spiritual center, getting connected with God, doing some prayer, because really getting to know yourself, knowing your own spirit, right? So getting to know yourself as well, and then of course along the hypnotherapy line, it'll be past life regression or a life between lives, because they really tap into this unconscious realm. So that would be what I know to help with unconscious limited belief system. So of course, these are not the only ways. These are just the ways that I know. If you know any other ways, if you have any ideas, you've tried something, if something has worked for you, please leave it in the comments. Let's help each other out. Each one teach one. Because I do feel that we're in a great time of change right now, obviously, right? And I believe that we can enter this time of change with an intent to change with it and start off, at a place where we want to be. Like, this is a great time to change and meet our goals and start off, anew, whatever that means to you. And then lastly, there's something special that I wanted to let you guys know is that I'm in the process of creating releasing your limiting belief, like a guided meditation hypnosis. And I will probably have it posted tomorrow for those who are interested, and maybe trying to uncover limited beliefs or wanting to see if they can help leave them overcome their limited beliefs. So that's all. That'll be uploaded tomorrow, hopefully. That's the end of this video. I appreciate your time. I thank you deeply for taking the time to listen. And I greatly appreciate your time. Look out for that hypnosis, that release your limiting beliefs hypnosis tomorrow. And until then, you all take care.